everyone, it's been a while, but I'm back with a video on Pandora, Ross and Ross's study on the Bobo dolls, which was a requested video. If anyone else has any requests, I would love to hear them, and I will most likely, like 99%, get them done if I have the time, which I probably will now that my exams are finished. How did your exams go? Do you still have exams? Personally, I found the psychology paper 2 quite shaky, but the paper 1 was okay. I'd love to hear what you thought of it, if you found paper 1 and paper 2 okay, which one did you find more difficult, etc. So in 1961, Pandora, Ross and Ross conducted a study to see if social behaviours such as aggression can be acquired through observation and imitation. So their sample were 36 boys and 36 girls from the Stanford University nursery school, aged between 3 and 6 years. So the researchers pre-tested the children on aggression scores using 4 5-point scales. It was then possible to match the children based on their aggression scores. Because of this, it's a matched pairs design. The tests inter-rater reliability of the observers. 51 of the children were rated by 2 different observers, and their ratings were compared, and they found a very high concordance rate of 0.89, which showed that the observers agreed on the same behaviours. So this particular study used a lab experiment, and the IV was the type of model used. It was manipulated in 3 different ways. So in the first manipulation, 24 children were shown an aggressive model. In the second manipulation, 24 children were shown a non-aggressive model. And in the third manipulation, the children were shown nothing, which was a control condition. So it sort of happened in 3 stages. So in the first stage, modelling, 24 children watched a male or female model behaving aggressively towards a toy called a Bobo doll. In this condition, the adults acted really aggressively in a distinctive way, for example using a hammer to hit it and shouting at it. In the second condition, which was the non-aggressive condition, the children observed adults playing really relaxed and subdued. We were playing with a Tinker toy. I'm not really sure what that is, but just give me what you want it to mean. Again, as I said, in the last condition, they weren't shown any stimulus, so stimuli. Yeah, that's the plural, isn't it? So they weren't shown any stimuli, so they weren't shown any model at all. Second stage was aggression arousal. So this occurred on all the groups, including the control group, and this was when each child was separately taken into a room to play with the toys. But then the researcher came in and told the child that the toys were reserved for the other children, making them a bit angry. So the next room included non-aggressive and aggressive toys. So for example, the non-aggressive was a tea set, crayons, a teddy bear, a plastic farm animal. The aggressive one included a mallet, a dartboard, and the dreaded Bobo doll. Oh, by the way, I will put a picture of the Bobo doll somewhere in this video, but I warn you, it's kind of creepy and not for the faint-hearted. So maybe I'll put it right at the end, or I'll warn you before I put it. So yeah, in this room, the children were there for 20 minutes, and the responses were recorded every 5 minutes, which made 240 response units. The observers also recorded any behaviours that hadn't been observed, such as punching the nose of the Bobo doll. So I hear you ask, what were the findings? Well, they found that those children who had been observing the aggressive behaviour with the models also imitated that aggressive behaviour, as you might expect. There were some behaviours that hadn't been observed that were shown, but these were quite a small proportion of the behaviours. Interestingly, there's some differences in the genders. So for example, the girls were seen to act more physically aggressive towards the toys when they saw a male model, but when they saw a female model, they were more verbally aggressive. But there was one small anomaly with this, which was when girls saw the female models and they punched the Bobo doll more for some reason. The boys were more likely to imitate the same-sex models, so the males. Also, the boys imitated more physically aggressive than the girls, but there was little difference in the verbal aggression between the boys and the girls. The conclusion of this, what did this study show? Well, it supported Bandura's social learning theory, which states that we learn social behaviours through observation, and it also had important implications for media violence shown to children. So, evaluation, we are nearly at the end, and I think this is quite a long-winded study, so I'm sure you're happy. So, evaluation, as with any lab experiment, there is really high control over the IV, so you can establish cause and effect because you know for sure that it's the IV causing, no, the DV causing the IV. Wait, no, yeah, you know what I mean. But anyway, so they could be sure that it was the type of model, the amount of aggression that the model showed that caused the children's behaviour. Another pro of a lab experiment is that it can be replicated because standardised procedures and rules were used, allowing for it to be easily done again. And in fact, it was actually done again by Bandura in 1963 with some slight changes, such as he used videos. However, many psychologists have criticised this study because the whole lab experiment setting has very low ecological validity, and it's quite an artificial task as well because you won't really get a situation where children and adult models are interacting together. So it's quite limited to real life, so it doesn't really apply to real life at all, which means it has really low ecological validity. Also, on a negative side, Cumberbatch in 1990 found that children who had never seen the Bobo doll before were 5 times as likely to act aggressively towards it than those who had seen it before, and he argued that the novelty value, so the fact that it was new to them, he believed that added to the aggression rather than a kid that was actually used to seeing it. He'd seen it before. So yeah, that's the end of my video, I think. I'm probably just going to ramble on for a bit. Yeah, if you have any requests, please leave it in the comment section. And also remember that I have an email address specially for this channel, which is revisionbuddy101. Just drop any questions or any, I don't know, comments or whatever you want. Tell me like what you're eating for dinner if you want, but yeah, just if you need it, that email is there. If you have exams still to come, then good luck for that. Tell me how your exams went if you've already done them, and I think that's about it. Love you.